Kristen. My name is Kristen, and today we're going to be talking about suicide and the misconceptions around it. There's so many misconceptions around suicide. I want to break down that stigma so we can help these people. I feel like suicide is a very, very important subject matter, and that's why I want to talk about it. Last week I made a video on how to identify people who are suicidal. I will leave that here. Go check that out if you are interested, but if you're not, stick around. We're going to talk about the misconceptions of suicide. People who actually talk about suicide will not commit suicide. Almost every single person who commits or attempts suicide, there is some clue, there is some warning. It doesn't just come out of the blue. Do not ignore statements like, I wish I was dead, I'd be better off dead, you'd be better off without me. Things like these are huge warning signs. And people who actually talk about suicide and actually talk about killing themselves, those are the people who are going to do it. They're reaching out, they're trying to reach out for one last time. If you see these signs, please help them. Again, signs and symptoms. It's a great video. Go check it out. You guys loved it. Anyone who tries to kill themselves is crazy. I hate using the word crazy. It's a really derogatory term. So at the beginning of this misconception, don't use the word crazy, don't use the word insane. These are negative and bad. Most people who are suicidal are not psychotic or mentally insane. They may be upset, they may be depressed, they might have lost somebody in their life, they might have lost a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a family member. Not everyone who is suicidal is insane or crazy or all of those negative things you say. It could be just a normal emotion like being sad, being depressed, being embarrassed to this extent that they want to kill themselves. If a person is determined to kill themselves, nothing will stop them. No. Even the most suicidal people have mixed feelings about suicide. There's a really good documentary out, and it's about suicide off the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's all about survivors, the people who wanted to commit suicide. They attempted suicide and they failed, and it's all about their emotions and what's going on through their head when they jump, and 99.9999999% of them says right after they jumped, they regretted it. Right after they jumped, they wanted to be back on that bridge. Even the most suicidal people don't want to die. They just want the pain to go away. They want what they're feeling to go away. They don't want to actually die, but they feel like if they do die, this pain is going to go away. And there is always hope to save these people. If we can identify them and we can get them into treatment and get them help or get them to the ER or whatever, we can save them. People who attempt suicide are uneducated, in poverty, and so on and so forth. The largest amount of suicides comes from middle-aged to older-age Caucasian males, which on average have the most income and are the most highly educated people in the United States. So you tell me, is it the poor? Is it the uneducated that commit suicide? I don't think so. People who commit suicide are unwilling to seek out help. So studies have shown that adult suicide victims, half of them actually reached out for treatment 6 months before they committed suicide. Some people who commit suicide have no access to treatment. And this could be for a variety of reasons. Maybe they're younger and they don't talk about their problems with people. Maybe they live in a country or a part of the United States that doesn't have a lot of services. There's a lot of places in the world that still do not have mental health services that should. There's no help for these people. So to say that these people aren't willing to reach out for help, or I feel is a huge misconception. It's not that they're unwilling. Sometimes it's just not there, or they did do it and it just didn't help. Suicide is higher around the holidays. Although suicide is higher during the holiday seasons, it's not the actual prime time for suicide. People think that people commit suicide around the holidays because there's all this joy and love and happiness, and then they look at themselves and they feel inadequate, or they feel like they're missing something which could trigger them to be suicidal. In all actuality, springtime is the prime time for suicide. There are a lot of people who have SAD, seasonal affective disorder, in the winter and fall months, but then when we start getting out of that and there's springtime and summer and heat and there's people coming out of it, but these other people see these people and they go, why am I not feeling that way? Why am I still sad? This this could trigger someone to be suicidal. People commit suicide right out of the blue. Like I said before, there are warning signs, there are clues, there are little breadcrumb trails before the big event. It's not something that just comes out of the blue normally. Could be weeks of clues, days of clues, months, years of clues. It's not something that just comes out of the blue. Another misconception is that suicide or suicidal thoughts run from generation to generation, family to family. And yes, there are studies have shown that suicidal thoughts do run in families, but what about the individuals who have no family history of suicide and are suicidal? Suicidal ideations could happen from any race, any age, and sex, any gender. Anyone can have suicidal tendencies. It doesn't just run in families. Suicide is someone's own business. Many people still believe that people are in control of their emotions 100%, and this is false. We are not in control of all of our emotions 100% of the time. So if a person wants to be suicidal, wants to be depressed, that's their own business, and why should it affect me? If you ask anyone who had a family member commit suicide, it affects not only the person who commits suicide, because they're gone now, it affects everyone around them. Family, friends, aunts, uncles, because it's a tragic thing. People who commit suicide always leave a note. Actually, suicide notes aren't that common. The television and the movies like to make it seem like every single person who commits suicide, there's a note. There's some indication of why. There's some closure for those characters. But in reality, we're not characters. We're not TV personnel. This is real life, and there's not a lot of people who leave notes, and there's not a lot of closure. Actually, the TV and the movies, I wrote this down in my notes, I thought it was funny. I put suicide routines. A lot of TVs and movies have this like routine of someone committing suicide. They write a note, do this, they do that, and it's so linear. But that's not what happens in real life. There's no routine for suicide. It happens in many different ways, and there's many different causes and many different signs, and each person is different. And the biggest misconception that I have found so far is if you talk to someone about suicide, that will give them the idea. This is not true. You are not going to give someone the idea to commit suicide just by talking about suicide. Actually, the opposite is true. If you are worried about somebody, if you feel like there's some suicidal ideation, maybe they're giving away things, maybe they're being more angrier, and you're seeing this, one of the things you could do is talk about it, because sometimes all you need to do is talk. It's just talk about it. Get it out there in the open. This could really help someone. Let them know that you're there, you care, you're seeing the signs, you're seeing the pain that they're feeling, and you both can come up with a plan on what to do next. Next week, I'm going to go over how to help someone who is suicidal. If you have any questions about suicide or any other video ideas you would like me to make about suicide, please let me know down below. I love you guys. Stay safe. See you guys in another video.